Okay?
Excuse me right away.
Okay.
Right over here.
Oh, you got to take it.
Oh, so Ma, you in person?
Oh, well.
It is me in person. Give me a hug. Let's give me something to talk about.
Yeah. I looked at you on TV. I said, that's you.
No, actually, he just showed up. He made
I'm from the
he made
South.
Oh, but it's good to see you here in
number
Jersey.
4.
All right, let's hear what the chairman has to say.
And then like,
Maybe I
Chairman,
can
you
get
gonna
some
stand
attention.
up?
Don't fall right
I'm so glad my people made it.
All right.
Martin Luther King died for us.
All right.
So obviously, guys.
Good to go.
Obviously,
And you
obviously.
look so nice on TV.
Could we just have a few seconds here? He's going to hang around for a few minutes, take pictures with
I'm
everybody.
fixing to go.
Okay? All right. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Goodbye.
And don't forget to vote.
I vote every year.
Great.
And I ain't got
Okay,
kids.
so here's the deal, guys. Obviously, this gentleman, this young man to my left, does not need an introduction in Somerset County. Right. He's been with us. He's been with us from the beginning, but now he's newly minted as the United States Senator. And I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say we are so proud of him and proud that New Jersey has sent 2 minority senators to Washington.
Yeah.
We know a lot about Corey. He's been around for us for a long time now. He was here when we really did barely, we had enough people for that restroom right there. and now, obviously, we've got a lot more active Democrats in the county. We've known Senator Booker since then. We know him to be a spiritual man. We know him to have a really keen sense of what's right and wrong. We know him to be a guy who's dedicated to service, dedicated to the community. But I saw another side of Cory Booker. Because we understood, he's told us many times over that he learned these character traits at the knee of his mother. Well, I got to meet Mama. And I got to tell you, Mama is a force to be reckoned with. And she loves her son, but having met her and having spent time with her, I know that it's that mother, that family that gave us this gentleman who is going to go to D.C., he started already, and fight for things like ENDA, for women's health care, protecting the right to choose, protecting minority rights generally, protecting the minimum wage, all of the things that we middle-class Democrats in Somerset County and middle-class Americans stand up for and believe in. And all I can tell you is if he was just a couple of years younger,
So look, I am first and foremost so happy that my dear friend Peg came down to Washington, D.C. To see me sworn in. She has been, I want you to know, this is one of my favorite New Jerseyans. Fell in love with her when we first started working together years ago. When we went head to head, I don't know if anybody here was in that meeting. We went head to head bowling.
Yes.
Now somehow one of us is a revisionist historian.
The proof is on YouTube.
Ask them who they think it is.
I'm not going to go there. But somebody did beat somebody, but I still ended up paying up. So I want you guys to know how this is what gets me excited, because I felt it years ago. I see it now. We are building in this county. Every election, we're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And people don't know. So the King said it so eloquently. He said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. This is a path we may not win in an instant, but if we keep at it, we keep working, every single election, we're going to do better and better and better and better. And Marie here, who is unbelievable. They tried to knock her down. You're standing up. Oh my God, chicken wall.
I know, Marie, you're going for the graveyard vote.
So this is the kind of gusto and determination that never ever quits.
Yeah.
It is this belief that nothing is going to stop us on the pathway to justice and empowerment. And the issues are real. Look, I was there getting sworn in on Thursday. The first vote I did, and I tell you this with all confession, I got up there to swear in. I was waiting for Biden to make some kind of joke because it was Halloween. I thought he'd be like, is this gory Booker? I'm sorry, it doesn't get any cornier than me. If you know Corey and corny, one letter difference. And then I go, but now it's time to vote. And I never thought, like, what do you do to vote in the Senate? Is there a button to push, a lever to pull? And so I literally have to ask Menendez, who was my senior senator, what do I do? And he goes, just raise your hand and say aye. Thanks, Bob. But the reality is I voted for a guy named Mel Watt, the first person I voted for to end a filibuster, because they're filibustering everything. It was something called a cloture vote, and the Democrats, we failed. And what did we fail? To put somebody in charge of a federal housing agency that's critically needed for us. Why? Because the night before, you all sent me down there to do my due diligence. I didn't just want to vote for people, so I called them up. And I said, look, I'm going to be sworn in tomorrow, a lot of stuff, but my first vote's for you. Let's talk about the issues. And I went right to the issues of us. New Jersey is the second worst state in the nation for foreclosures.
That's right.
And so these are the real issues we're dealing with. My mom, who was there with Pego, who saw my mom, she's a wise woman, and she was so thrilled by the swearing in and all that, and all the grandeur and all this. But she was the first person to say to me, she said, "Son, don't get caught up in all this. Don't get caught up in all this. This is not what you were elected for. You were elected to serve New Jersey." And so what did I do on Friday? I got back in a car and drove back into New Jersey to begin this long stretch of crisscrossing the state, campaigning not just for Barbara Buono. Thank you. Everybody's writing about this election. I'm just a big believer that David did beat Goliath.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali did beat Leon Spinks. And that I actually had some underdog elections as well. So I campaigned not just a campaign for Barbara Buono or the critically urgent ballot initiatives like raising the minimum wage.
That's right.
But I actually wanted to campaign for everybody down from city council candidates to candidates for state office. All of this was so important. Why? Because there's something I know about being a student of history, is that as great as it is to have champions like Menendez and a junior.
Like you.
Thank you very much. And me down there trying to fight it out. As important as that is, think about our history. Change never comes from the top down. It comes from the grassroots up. Where do we get civil rights from? Not the Senate didn't lead on that. Voting rights, the Senate didn't lead on that. Women's rights, the Senate didn't lead on that. Workers' rights, the Senate didn't lead on that. That push came from the grassroots. And more than that, I remember where I came from. My mom said, don't forget where you came from. And it's not just the folks and the ancestors of all of ours. Immigrants who came here with nothing, bound away. Folks that worked in sweatshops and fought for those workers' rights. Folks that were denied equality and fought for that equality. It's not just that. I also remember my town. I grew up in a town that was special because there were local leaders who made sure we had parks to play in, a great school to go to, that when I walked to school, my parents would let me go alone because they were comfortable with the safety and the security. I am where I am because of that. We went on class trips. There would be a class moms volunteering to go with us and watch over with us. That when I went out to play that Little League game, that there were coaches that weren't paid to do it. These were volunteers that loved me, coaches who had kids that were coaching me just as intensely or more so than their own kids. I'm here because of our communities, because of our culture, because what we've created together, as diverse as this room is, we share a common set of ideals and beliefs about our country. And so now when folks are trying to push things backwards, think about this. Why do I support when we think about this? We have a state that's closing access to women's health care.
That's right.
A state that is seeing that the middle class, working class people seeing their taxes go up. Things like the cutting of the earned income tax credit. We see our environment, dear God, I mean, it's fracking ridiculous what's happening with our environment. We've got our state pulling out of regional greenhouse gas agreements. All of these things, yeah, they have federal corollaries and things to fight for down there, but we need great local leaders right here. Yes. And so I'm here right now because of what Peg said, because of our common heart and our common determination. And so I've been saying this story today a lot, and I want to just share it with you, and I'm sorry, it's sort of from the heart, and has to do with what I think is real and evident and tangible in this room, and tangible with leaders like Marie and Peg and those who are really working really hard in this room to drive forward change for our party, which is not about a party. God, if I need a party, I'd have some friends over. People that stand up for common ideals and common principles. That our party is really a means to a greater end. And so the story I'm telling is really about the two people, unlike Peg, who couldn't be down there for my swearing in. The first, obviously, is my father, who died in the days before the election. And we all lost people. I don't want to draw attention to myself, but we all know, who've lost folks, we know that death can end a life, but it can't end a love. Yes. And that immortality, which I believe in, is not defined by how long you live, but by how well you live. And so my father wasn't there, and interestingly enough, one of the county chair people, who's a county chairperson of the county where Newark sits, a guy named Phil Thigpen, couldn't be there either, because days before I was to be sworn in, he came down. Mark and I were in a room doing robocalls for pretty much every county, including this one. And you and I were we never thought it would take so long. Why? Because I kept messing up. And so we're sitting there, and the chairman poked his head in and just smiled at me, and we smiled at him. And then he went, and this tall guy, Eugene, saw him having a difficulty of breath. And he said, "How you doing?" And the chairman just leaned against the wall and smiled at him and said, "I'm all right. I just want to make sure Corey's going to do what he needs to do." And then he went to the elevator, went up to his floor, and then had a seizure, heart attack, and died. Wow. And so, but this is the thing. Here's this 80-plus-year-old guy, born in the 1920s, and he lived his life of such dedicated service. He wasn't one of those people that stood in the limelight. He wasn't one of those people that was looking for a headline. He just did the yeoman's job all the time, as a freeholder, as a county clerk, always looking for ways to bring people together to advance communities. Like Peg, who's hiding behind me right now, it wasn't about them, it was about us, always about us. And so that's the last story I want to tell you, which I've been telling all over the state today, which is about this spirit and about what we need to do to fortify ourselves for these last 2 days of this big and important push. And it's a story actually about someone very much in the limelight, one of the presidents of this great nation during a time of great division during the Civil War. And his name was Abraham Lincoln. And on perhaps one of his highest notes, he gave this amazing speech, the second inaugural address, where he said, malice towards none, charity towards you'll memorize this. People have to say it in the chorus. But what the interesting part of the story is after the speech, he goes to the reception where everybody is pulling at him. Everybody's pulling at him. But yet he is seeking out one man. Now this man almost didn't make it into the reception because he was black. And at this time, that wasn't really something that you had in a presidential reception. But this African-American man who was invited, somebody recognized and helped him get there, was doing the same thing that Peg's doing, standing humbly back on the side. And so, but the president was looking for him. He kept telling people, "I need to find my friend because I want to know what my friend thought of my speech." And amazingly, he gets to his friend, and the black man says to him, "Mr. President, go attend to your guests." And he says, "No, I need to know what you thought of my speech." And this would be the last time these two men ever talked, because Lincoln would soon be assassinated. And so here you have the President of the United States and one of the more reverential men that has fought for freedom in our country's history, Frederick Douglass. And Frederick Douglass looks at Lincoln and responds to his question, "What did you think of my speech?" by simply saying this. He said, "Mr. President, it was a sacred effort." A sacred effort. all of us here are bonded together with this ideal, that we get up with challenges, with frustrations, with whatever's going on in our own lives, but yet we still go on, giving forth our sacred effort to make our families, our neighborhoods, our towns, our counties, our nation better. That's what this calling is. This is a Sunday night where so many people are home watching TV, getting ready for the work week, but we're all here together, not because of individuals or candidates, but because of our common belief that if we stand together, work together, give forth the best measure of our devotion, that we can make our communities stronger and our nation better. That's what inspires me. So in this election, in one of my favorite counties, because, dear God, you all have grit in this county. You have grit in this county. I am telling you right now, I am here for you now. We are together, each of us, woman and man, we're gonna each of us push to make sure we get our candidates elected on Tuesday.
Yes.
And then the work doesn't stop. The election's over, but the campaign continues, because we have more work to do. And I let you know this, Peg, she leaves me sometimes the best voice messages. I'm gonna keep coming down here and getting into the trenches with you all. Forget my title, we all know. Titles don't honor men.
That's right.
Men honor titles to their
That's
work.
right.
Titles honor women. So I'm going to be, it's that $6 word, I'm going to be ubiquitous. I will be everywhere, all over the state. I'm going to be down in Washington 3 nights a week. But I'm going to be back in New Jersey working nonstop to try to empower our common cause. So thank you very much. God bless you. God bless our great state. Thank you. I'm talking about me, Marie, and Christian. I'm sorry here. I didn't say all the 3 candidates here. So I want to thank them all. Please, let's get them all out.
Marie.
So let's give a round of applause to our new senator, and I want to bring the cake up here. Throw the knife up here. See if the senator can catch it.
Here's to a successful remainder of your term and to re-election, and also to remembering that the Fair Labor Standards Act is more than just minimum wage.
Amen. Amen. And tomorrow I get a chance to vote on ENDO, which we know how important that is.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got 10 different emails about it already.
Mr. Ochoteco, are we gonna? You have a knife?
I don't. Do we have a knife?
Yeah, where's the knife?
Mr. Ochoteco wants a cut.
I made some suggestions. Hillary Clinton
There you go. There you go. Ochoteco. With the mayor, no, wait, with the senator.
I'm happy to mix up with you guys. Cut the cake off.
Okay, you're gonna cut it. You're gonna cut it.
We know what you said about what diet you've been on during the campaign.
I know. No, I'm on a carbless diet right now, so I'm cutting for other people. You're cutting.
Okay. Now that's
No,
right.
no. And Christian, we're
We don't have a
we don't have plates.
Yeah, we do. But it's not all here.
Is there a plate? We're on the plates. Is there a hand? It doesn't get dirty.
Here.
Wedding style.
There we go.
Take it to the truck.
I'll buy the fork.
Now what about a fork?
Who needs a fork when you have?
All right.
My friend, I know you like cake. You please jump in.
Please.
Come on, I'm gonna do a couple of these now, quick.
Put them out on the table.
All right. I know a lot of you guys want to say hello and get pictures. Start coming up here because I know you guys.